We're going to call Bob Pope up, and we're going to discuss Dell the neighbor.
Oh, boy. Bob, why don't you do something to get the
I don't need any help from you because Ron asked me to do this. What I'm going to say, I think every one of you will be able to relate in some way to your own way of living, where you live, the people around you. If you want one word, it's the neighborhood. And I want you to know that we have had and have a dandy. And I mean that in the most sincere manner, not in jest whatsoever. There are about 5 faces in here tonight who have taken part in that, quote, neighborhood. It all started when, well, first of all, I have to let you know, it's really something for us to come, the old neighborhood bunch, to see the affluence that is here tonight. Because golf pros, for example, and all that stuff. Because I'm going to talk about a time when we were poor. Now, if you can put that into perspective, you're going to understand what I have to say. Poor. We were poor people. We, each of us in the neighborhood, it was a subdivision, but our street was an entity unto itself. And really what I'm talking about is our street. The poem that you heard earlier relates to our street. There were a lot of nice people around the other side of the block. I was going to go like that. But the group that I'm going to talk about are on our street in Hodgson Avenue. I'll spell that for you, whether you want me to or not. Hodgson, Hodgson Avenue. Now, that's a veteran subdivision, and for some reason, and we've regretted it many, many times, we all decided to build our own home. A machine operator, a dentist, a payroll clerk. Could you think of that? Oh, we had a lot of guts, you know. But I'll tell you, we had a good time. But we had no money. I'm getting back to that poor. We were out, by today's standards, it would be called suburbia. That was in the middle of a farmer's field, boy, and there was nothing about... Yeah. And 2 or 3 of us, this distinguished-looking retired chap here, he's in the affluent situation now. He was across the road from Dell. This distinguished-looking gentleman, also retired. They all 3 have something in common. I'm much younger. The 3 of us have already started our houses, and Dell come along, and we watched him drive down the street in his old car. We all had old cars. All they were old. We all used them as a truck to carry the material to build a house. And when we finished building the house, we drove it to the dump, and sometimes it had to be towed. And I'm not kidding you. No, this is not. I mean, this is... I'll tell you, many a time we sat at Dell's house and our house and Keegan's and spent many an hour and drank many bottles of beer talking about the same thing. And if you ever give me a chance, which you've got to put up with it. That's just what it's all about. So, where was I, Dell? Oh, yes, you come out. We each had a choice to pick out our lot, and it's very nice. It's beautiful now, but it took 30 years to get there. You pick out your lot, and you go and have a look, and it's just a field. There's nothing to pick out. We all think that we made a good choice, and we don't know that until 20 years down the road. And there's no sewers, there's no lights, there's hardly a road to get there. And Frank was on his roof, I think. He was ahead of us, and I was just putting the subfloor on. I think Larry had the ass up on his pants and working in the garden on that day. And here's this clown, and I say that, and I really mean that, because he proved that to be true later as a neighbor. It's a half acre, so it's a pretty good size. It's not like a city subdivision at all. Waving a bottle of beer all by himself with his old car sitting out in the road. This is my property! Frank Ambrosia yells over to me, says, "There goes the neighborhood." I know I'm supposed to say something nice as you go along. I find that very difficult. Because when I started the research, and I even asked his kids, and they told me, "Man, he's a boring guy. What the hell? What are you going to talk about?" And that's true. I think you should move the caboose back once and put in boring in that, if you will. Yeah. But as time went on, how many people lived on septic tanks for, see, what do you know? Good, you're going to appreciate this. We put in our septic tanks, 3 weeks later, 3/4 of them were plugged. I think we spoke earlier about Larry Keegan, this distinguished-looking gentleman here, the post office chap, also retired, having a rink between his house and Brunel's house. Brunel's never complained about the broken windows. Now that's really nice. At least they didn't ever tell us. Maybe after they moved to St. Thomas, they may have had something to say. So what I'm really saying is that we had a neighborhood that was really close. We had a playground right next door to the Brunels. And we owned and operated the playground, which means we had to provide the equipment for it, and we had to maintain it. Now that means on a Saturday there was about 19 lawnmowers in there. It sounded like that speedway down in Florida, you know, until we're finished. But everybody did their part. We all had the same frame of mind. Brunels were just one of us. Maybe not the best, but one of us. Okay? Haven't offended you yet, have I? Well, I've got a few minutes to go. Yeah. As you get older, you forget things. I've just forgotten something. It'll come back. At any rate, I said this before too. I do know when I repeat myself, but it's only minutes later. As the years went on, we helped each other. If someone needed a special project done on the street, you didn't really have to call the guy down the street, because the minute, for example, a cement truck is seen in your driveway, before you know it, there's 6 guys with wheelbarrows and drill and rubber boots, and away they go. All you had to do is have a bowl of chili and 2 cases of cold beer, and the project is done. Now that went on when we were doing it. We were all involved. Brunel's and the whole works. We were all involved in that same thing. It's help your neighbor. And I guess it's getting to you, eh? I'm really telling you what this neighborhood is all about. And I can't help but say that that's the kind of thing that brought us all together. And I'm also going to say that I think that that's the way the parents were, and that rubbed off on the kids. The kids in that neighborhood have all made their way, each to his own. But if there were apples in a barrel, there isn't, and hasn't been one bad apple in that whole barrel. If you can relate to that. Pardon me, I'm going to cry. No, I think I've said enough. I hope I've given you the message, and I'm not telling you anything except what is the absolute truth. And we're happy to be a part of it. We're happy that you were a part of it. Happy retirement.